road. We have a discussion we need to have there, Sunshine.
Now, we might have picked the wrong year.
Nah, I think it was the right one. There's no way.
Okay, so this movie escaped on June 17th of 1988 on a budget of $3.5 million.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it took in $800,000 at the box office.
And they ran out of money.
Yeah. So adjusted for inflation, okay, $808,000 at the box office. Adjusted for inflation, the budget is $9.1 million, and the box office is $2.1 million. Waxwork.
This had an all-star cast.
Written and directed by a guy named Anthony Hickok.
He wrote it in 3 days.
Or Hickox. I don't doubt it.
Nope. Yep. But Jim and I looked up the same information.
Right. Zach Galligan, who we all know as Billy from fucking Gremlins.
Took me a hot minute, but yes.
Mm-hmm.
As Mark Loftmore. Deborah Foreman as Sarah. Michelle Johnson as China. Dana Ashbrook as Tony. Micah Grant as Jonathan. And a whole bunch of other people I don't fucking give a half a French fried titty fuck about.
Well, there was, okay, the main protagonist from
Lincoln.
the Waxwork, yes, Lincoln, was in Tron.
David Warner.
He was in A Man with Two Brains. He has a good cred as a villain. One of the kids was from Mama's Family. And, of course, Billy from Gremlins. Other than that, it was Friends. and the little fella.
Oh, yeah, the wee fella.
Yeah, he actually played the puppeteer, I guess you would call it.
He was Alf.
For Alf.
Yes.
Which, that's kind of awesome.
So, this movie was a fucking slog to watch.
Yep.
This is what I watch with Jimmy Saturday night.
Why would you do that to the kid?
Yeah. This ain't even a horror movie.
It's I'm gonna bury the lead here.
Yes.
It's an 80s horror comedy, of which there are a ton.
Mm-hmm.
This is neither a horror nor a comedy.
Yeah, where was the comedy?
Yeah,
This is just bad.
Yeah.
It's the worst tropes of 80s comedy and 80s horror all rolled into one giant pile of shit.
That would be correct.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a small suburban town.
Yep.
And a group of college kids that they go to visit a mysterious wax museum.
Mm-hmm.
Where the curator, we think it's it's the curator. He just kind of like pops in and out.
Yep.
And
spooky.
Yeah, spooky.
Mm-hmm. They go there at midnight.
Mm-hmm.
Invited special event. Come on in. Blah 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 blah.
And these kids, they have seemingly no connection to each other really.
Well, the one were ex-boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
but she's poking around other people.
Yeah.
Well, no, she's getting poked around by other people.
Yeah, and another one is the nerd. Then the other two are just.
I didn't get the chemistry with the group.
Yeah,
there is no chemistry.
Yeah,
it's every 80s movie trope fucking put into one giant lump of shit.
And who hangs out at the football field that much, my God?
No.
I don't remember hanging out at a football field in high school.
They were watching practice.
Not during a practice, only during a game. And even then, we didn't pay much attention to the fucking game.
Yeah.
But
anyway.
Long story short, what was happening was, and I don't know how these kids weren't noticing that all of a sudden their group of 7, 8 became like a group of 2?
Because you're a bunch of dumb fucks.
I mean, people just kept disappearing.
But what the bad case I found it was when they told the story of it. It's like, okay, so you got the 18 most evil people in the world.
The story was
again
good.
Yeah, but when you have the 18 most evil people in the world that they have to resurrect somehow through Waxworks, and amongst the 18 most evil people in the world, You have Dracula,
Mm-hmm.
Frankenstein's monster,
Mm-hmm.
the Phantom of the Opera,
Mm-hmm. The werewolf.
the Mummy, the werewolf. These are not even.
The only one that was a fucking real person was the Marquis de Sade.
Yes.
Jack the Ripper.
Oh, and Jack
yeah,
the Ripper.
yeah, but then again, they didn't know who he was, so how did they get something off of him?
Right.
Hey, he did.
Yeah. And again, they had to get 18 people to somehow transdimensionally go into a scene,
Mm-hmm.
be killed by the evil person,
Mhm.
become part of the waxwork
Mm-hmm.
to come alive. And even then, people are confused about, well, why? Why else? To take over the world. What the fuck?
All the dead will rise.
Yeah, this was just the movie was convoluted.
Mm-hmm.
It was 100% nonsensical.
The only thing that did actually make sense a little bit is number one. How about the fucking detective? That was so over the fucking top
Oh,
acting.
a dick cop.
Oh my
Boy,
God.
how many movies do we have where the cops are dicks? Don't believe anything until they die.
Yes. But after that, because like I said, the cop went there and then he realized going through stuff that he recognized one of the wax figures as a missing person. So he went back and he got thrown into a fucking thing. And his cohort went in and he got his neck broken.
Did you see the trivia for that? All the pictures of the missing people were off the posters from the Lost Boys.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I read all the trivia for this thing. It's
Oh.
like, yeah, all the missing people were posters from the Lost Boys movie.
Now, this is where it actually makes a little bit of sense.
What?
He takes... Oh, and how about that girl? Like, she doesn't want anything to do with him when he's dropping her off. I'm thinking, you hoe bag, you were just freaking hitting on him, you goddamn tease.
Wait, which one? China or
No,
the smart one?
The nerdy one, yeah. She was like, oh, I don't want to kiss it. Shut up. But anyway,
She
him
got
and
into
her...
the Desaad.
Yeah, him and her go into what his
She was a kinky fool.
his grandfather's attic,
Yeah.
and they find in the beginning, if you notice, there was a murder and somebody stole
Yeah.
a bunch of shit.
Yeah, they didn't really get into that much, but
Right,
later
but
on.
now he sees a picture of Lincoln
Mm-hmm.
from back around, buddying around with his grandfather,
Mm-hmm.
and Lincoln looks exactly the same as today as he did, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that kind of clicked. But then they meet up with...
But she's looking at a book about the Marquis de Sade and getting all moist.
Hey, whatever fucking floats your canoe, man.
Who was the guy in the wheelchair? Was he his godfather? Or
Yeah,
what?
he was a godfather that also, they were the hunters of Lincoln, and that's where that final brouhaha happened.
Now, he tells him and her, go back, burn the place down, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Don't let anybody escape. Okay, fine. They go there. She gets sucked in
Yep.
to Desaad, and then he gets thrown into the zombies.
Yep.
And then he has a brain fade all of a sudden at the end of the movie that if he doesn't believe these things are real, they can't do any damage to him.
Yep.
And he escapes the exhibit,
Mm-hmm.
goes to save the girl, and that's when all hell breaks loose and all the hunters show up. And I have never in my life, during fight scenes, because now all the monsters came alive.
Yeah.
Okay?
Because they got the last two deaths.
Right. I have never in my life heard so many fake Batman TV series punches in a scene in my life. It was like every 10 seconds you're there, pow, slap, this, that. I'm like, oh my
Yep.
God.
And then we also have the little person and the tall person,
yes.
Mm-hmm.
which, dear God, it was the overacting of the little guy. I give him props for that. Just the fact that he overacted so well. He's like, I'm going to do everything I can in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
And the other guy just didn't seem to give a shit.
Nope. He was like Lurch.
This
What?
is what happens when cronyism and nepotism makes a
It
fucking
was-
movie.
My God. I mean, I've never seen this movie. I can't believe I didn't see this on some, like, Mystery Science Theater 3000, because this is riff-worthy, by all means.
Now, the key thing is here is you couldn't let anything escape.
Yeah.
And as they are leaving the Waxworks,
Mm-hmm.
a zombie hand is crawling out of
But
the rubble.
but did it not remind you from the Hand of Evil
Yes,
Dead?
it did.
Even with that.
Exactly. It was a total ripoff. But here's the worst part.
Yeah.
There's a sequel.
Yeah, I know. And the Hand is like
Yeah, I started watching a little bit of the sequel, and I was like, oh.
another. They got John Rhys Davies for this, who's an excellent actor.
Yes.
Been in Indiana Jones,
Yes.
Sliders, a lot
Lord,
of
Lord of the Rings.
yes, Gimli,
Yes,
a lot of
Gimli.
he had the best. He put his heart into the fucking scene he was doing.
Yeah, the
he
werewolf.
was the only one that seemed to give a shit.
Yep.
And I'll tell you what, if the rest of the movie gave a shit like he did, this probably would have been okay.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, they fucking didn't.
Nope.
This, let's just get this. Let's bury this fucker.
Alrighty.
What do you got?
I give it a thumbs down because, dear God, this isn't a good horror movie. It's not a good horror comedy. It's not good to own it's just terrible every which way.
Gotcha. Jim?
I asked Jimmy, I said, what'd you think of this 80s cheese? He goes, this cheese is bad. Thumbs down.
Okay. 80 80s movie times 100. This takes 80s cheese to new
Oh
levels.
my God, yes.
I wasn't a fan of Zach Galligan in the Gremlins movies. I'm not a fan of the Gremlins movies. This was poorly acted, poorly written, poorly everything.
Poorly everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give this movie the finger.
Whoa!
He has not given any weird movie the finger thus far. This is unprecedented.
This movie gets the finger. Egan, we need to have a talk.
Oh, oh boy.
This was bad. You do better.
Doesn't he work at the Haunt?
Yes.
Yeah,
So he should know from good horror.
he should. He
He did this on purpose.
You want to be different.